But here is the thing. In spite of the fact that it is different, okay, a lot of you are doctors here. This is why we do this here, because hiding is not the answer. Pretending that everything is just going to just be the same is not the answer. Who here agrees with me that medicine is changing? Type a 6 in the chat. If you agree with me that medicine is changing, type a 6 in the chat. Okay, medicine is changing. It is very different from how it was when we first signed up for it, right? When during med school did you think that CVS was your competition? Okay, when in med school did you think that somebody could be performing robotic surgery remotely? Okay, so like things are coming at us from different ends, and in my mind what we're doing here is literally helping you work on what I consider your arc. Okay, and when I talk about ark, the reference is to Noah's ark. Okay, where basically there was a flood, and this is, if you know, this is a biblical reference. Okay, but I'll tell you the story. There was a flood. There was a man named Noah. He got a heads up. He was screaming about the flood coming, right? And God told him, build an ark, right? So he starts building an ark in the middle of a desert. And people are like, you're crazy, man. What are you doing? He's like, a flood is coming. And they're like, we're in the desert, yo. And he's like, no, a flood is coming. So up to a while, Noah seemed crazy until it hit. Okay, so this that we're talking about is about building your solid income streams, building your arc. The time for cutesy is gone. The time for just a little extra side gig income is done. Okay, you, my dear, need solid income streams with a solid capital S. Okay, and when I say solid, I mean that this income stream, if you turned around and said, you know what, I don't want to show up to work tomorrow, this income stream can replace that, and it will make your daily job an option. You can switch to locums if you like. You can work per diem if you like. Heck, you can just cut back a day or two if you like. Or you can choose to keep working full time and just have this as your backup. But the time of walking around with medicine as your only income stream, I'm sorry, is history. Okay? You need assets that you control. You need businesses that you control. You need to own your income and control your cash flow. All right? So when this came up during the session last year, I reached out to Mike. This is literally the text that I sent. I actually took a screenshot because I was like, I got to show the people. Okay? I said, would you be open to, hosting this thing? And at the time, he agreed to it, right? So I brought him on board and we held the first version of Catalyst. But then I remembered that the event that Michael hosted, that I attended, that helped unlock the mindset for me, because I didn't even tell the story earlier, right? I didn't tell the story earlier. I had seen all the things about acquisitions around, but I didn't think it was for me. I thought it was for all those people. I don't know who those people were, but I didn't think it was for me. Name all the possible limitations. I don't know business. I had all the reason that it wasn't for me. But when I went to Mike's event a few years ago, I like the way he broke it down, and I saw the numbers and and I'm like, wait, what? I can do this. And it was after that event that I was able to now go out and go find the first business that I got under LOI. I'll tell the rest of the story about that one later. So you've already met Mike. You've met the people that he's worked with. His current portfolio, actually, when I did this, it was 140. But when you talk to him now, he's like, they're on track for 145 million. And he's like, 104, 145, $5 million difference. Who knows? Margin of error, right? I'm like, I love your margin of error, right? And so we put together, so I spoke with him and I said, can we do that same format that unlocked it for me? And he was like, sure, right? And this was born, Catalyst Business Acquisition Bootcamp, the live experience, okay? Somebody type live in the chat, okay? Because in one weekend, you'll be able to attend a focused workshop, not fluff, not hype, a focused workshop, focused bootcamp, I should say, where you're going to learn how to kickstart your own journey building wealth through business acquisitions, okay? In 3 days, you will learn how to find, how to fund, how to scale, and how to even possibly plan for an exit from a cash flowing business that you acquire. I know a lot of us, myself included, are very much in this point right here because we're like, oh my goodness, how can I even find this thing? Oh my goodness, how will I even pay for it? But when you spend enough time with Mike, he's like, don't worry, this part is pretty easy. Let me teach you this part, because if you learn how this goes, it'll help you narrow down this one. It'll help you make this one even easier because you already know what your end goal is. Steve Covey said, begin with the end in mind. He's going to teach you this part, and part of the process there is scaling the business. So what levers can you pull when you get the business to make the business more profitable than when you bought it, so that you can have what you call an arbitrage, a multiple arbitrage, where you can buy, let's say for like 2x or 3x, as we like to say, and by the time you scale a little bit, you can now sell it for 4, 5, 6x. So now you're winning on two ends, winning in a logarithmic way. So at Acquisition Bootcamp, you learn how to do all these things, okay? So you learn how to identify profitable targets and refine your own buy box. I say your own because Mike likes to talk about his buy box, right? But he has created a buy box out of his own experiences. You can now basically borrow Mike's buy box and add your own sweet sauce. If you were here yesterday, you heard Chelsea say, I want a coffee shop. Mike hates restaurants, by the way, right? But Chelsea was like, I want a coffee shop. So in spite of what Mike likes, right, they bought a coffee shop, right? And they were able to find a good coffee shop that met good other, number parameters, and they were able to buy this. So now you refine your own buy box. You basically look for what actually makes you tick. You learn how to find businesses both on and off market. So Mike showed you guys how he searches on, with his tool, Big Deal Machine, and I'll tell you in a second. But when we're actually on our Catalyst sessions, Mike actually likes to just zone in on the off-market strategies, because this is the part that takes you out of everybody else and gets you direct with the seller. I literally this afternoon was talking with a seller who, by the grace of God, actually wants to work with me as against working with others. Now, we're still talking about price. Her accountant has given her a number that I've told her, I don't think we can get there. But she said to me, I told my accountant, I'll rather work with Chia than go on the market and then have to deal with so many people for the next 6 months. That was what she told me. Okay. So now she's not on the open market. But guess what? That business, I told you guys the numbers. That business historically is doing an average, 3-year average, roughly 1.3 in profit. I didn't even mention the top line, because some of you may have just brain spasms if I mention the top line. But profit right now, we're talking about 1.3 average. So if we purchase that, if we use debt, okay, if we use debt to purchase the business, estimate around 400,000 for that annually. Out of 1.3, even make it 5, okay? Out of 1.3, take away 500,000. Let's just assume that we pay 500,000 annually for that business. Somebody do that math for me. What will that come to in the comments here? Tell me in the comments here. What will that look like? Yeah. Exactly, Thandi. Oh, that was you, Thandi. I didn't even know you were the one that was beloved. Exactly. This is essentially what private equity is doing to us in medicine. Exactly. So we become private equity. We become the ones that are going after these businesses. We're buying up the practices. We're buying up the things that we're very well qualified to acquire. And then we can be the ones doing the roll-ups. Okay. So that's number one. We'll help you learn how to find the businesses, okay? You learn how to communicate with sellers and brokers so they take you seriously. This is a whole art I'm coming to find out. On the fund end of things, you're going to understand how funding businesses work. Nobody has mentioned so far, you've heard it from me. If you are a physician, and if you're not, that's okay, but if you are a physician, you can find a lender that will give you a loan on a medical practice for 0% down. okay, for 0 down, okay? So if any practice is getting sold to a non-physician, it's because some other physician probably had no idea that this was available to them, because the money will not be the problem. There are lenders out there looking to lend to doctors that are willing to take on practices for 0 down. Okay, so during Catalyst, during the boot camp, okay, you're going to learn how to structure deals with creativity. You're going to learn how to fund these businesses. All right. Number 3, okay, to scale them, you're going to learn how to identify common levers of growth that can be pulled to increase the business profitability, to increase your cash flow, but more significantly, grow your net worth. Businesses are valued based on multiples of the profit it generates. So for every dollar that you save or you add to a business's bottom line or cash flow or profit, you just increase your net worth by 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 times that number. And then finally, to exit, if you choose to sell, how to position your business from the get-go for a profitable sale. Now, when is this event? It's going to be September 12th through the 14th, okay? It's going to be right here in Syracuse, New York. Mike is going to be our key faculty member, if you may. But I've also pulled on Philip and Doe as well, who has experience with biomedical practices, so that we get both the non-medical as well as the medical side, because I know my audience and I know we have a lot of doctors. And so for those who want to acquire medical practices, we're also going to have someone in the room that does biomedical practices, so that you can basically, you have the world essentially at, as your oyster. Okay, so what is this worth? Okay, what is this worth? Being with Mike, essentially, and us, right, for an entire weekend, learning these skills, learning these techniques, live interactive training, both in person with a live stream component, okay? You definitely want to be in the room. You definitely want to be in the room, right? That I think that alone is probably worth $20,000. I mean, if you learn something from when I was going to do my first deal, it was a 1-minute conversation. No, maybe not one, maybe 2 or 3 minute conversation with Mike that effectively saved me from a significant error. Okay. So that alone, I will pay $20,000 to avoid the kind of mistake that I would have made with that one business. All right. But there's always bonuses. We always like to sweeten the pie a little bit, right? We have this document vault. Okay. And this afternoon, I sat down with Claude and I was like, how do I describe? Because there's so much goodness in this vault that I was like, how do I describe the content of this vault in a way that actually shows people the value? Okay, so let me show you real quick the phrases that Claude, this is Claude here directly, right? It said the foundation suite, right? How to read a financial statement. Profit is not cash flow. Sample financial model. The intelligence archive, okay? SWOT analysis, how to, 130 boring businesses. The strategist toolkit. These are all documents and resources that, in fact, like the negotiator's playbook, the operator's manual, because these are all resources. Some are like one sheet, like graphs and graphics. Some are like actual, attorney created documents. Mike said it cost him over $100,000 to come up to put together the documents you have in this vault. And when I told him, can we do this? He was like, yeah, sure. Let's give them the vault as well. I'm like, okay. So we're talking, contracts, letter of intent templates, due diligence questions. There's a KPI, KPI is key performance indexes, growth matrix chart that's in there, so that when you buy the business, you get okay, what numbers should I be looking at this particular, and it's okay, if you're doing this, then you have this, right? And then operator insights, there's one document in there that's how to hire. I saw it this afternoon and I was like, oh, this is good. So for some of those documents, you will need when you're still in the buying phase. And for some of them, you will need when you first come on, there's a post acquisition, worksheet or something that's in there. It's just a wealth of information. Okay. But that's bonus number 1. bonus. And so that deal vault alone, honestly, I've had a hard time putting a number on it, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just put a 5K number on it, right? Because if I had to pay an attorney for like a letter of intent, just a letter of intent template, right? That alone and their time, just, yeah, it adds up, right? So like I said, Syracuse, New York, right here, easy access from any major airport, Atlanta, JFK, wherever. It's like an hour, maybe max 2 hours from any major airport, right? On the East Coast, obviously. If on the West Coast, then it's like a hike, but you can still come. All right. But remember that big deal machine that Mike was using earlier? Okay. All right. Um, you get when you join us in Catalyst, you're going to get 6 months of access to it. Now, here is the thing, okay? Mike, like I said, built this out for himself. The intention was not to sell it. The intention was for his own team to use to find him businesses, okay? So it scrapes the internet every 4 hours. And the beauty of it, because I use it, the beauty of it is that whereas on the other websites, you kind of have to like, you just kind of have to like scroll through everything. With Mike's tool, you can filter and say, show me just the businesses that came on the market in the last 3 days. Show me just the businesses that were market in the last 7 days. So you can identify the hot businesses, the new ones that just came on the market, and you can be like the first person in there. I got a deal recently, and the advantage that I had was that I was the first person that the seller got to meet. Now, eventually, that seller did not choose to go with my offer, but guess what? I got first dibs. Okay. So now if his deal falls through, guess who he knows is ready to buy from him? Yeah, me. Right. So you're going to have 6 months of access to his proprietary software to find deals that are both on and off market. Okay. Now, this deal sourcing software, somebody asked, is it subscription or is it free? It is subscription based. It is $800 a month if you find Mike outside of this, right? If you go find Big Deal Machine, it is $800 a month, but you're going to get 6 months of access to this, basically a $4,800 value. And we are already at a $26,500 value with just these 3 things. All right. Now, my first due diligence, the first due diligence that I paid for, the accountant and attorney and all of that, it cost me $28,000. At the time, I hadn't, really paid for like decent mentorship or whatever. And this was the deal that I called Mike on. I was driving in my car one day. I happened to talk to Mike and I was like, hey, I have this line. He's like, yeah, on to the next one. And I was like, wait, what? So my accountant and attorney had that I already paid. They were telling me that the deal had an issue. And one call with Mike was like, yeah, drop that onto the next one. I was like, oh man. Now, while I was going to like sit and just complain and cry, I realized, okay, fine. It cost you 28, but that 28K just saved you 1.1 million. But effectively, it was that one conversation that saved me 1.1 million because in spite of my accountant, I was still like, I still want to do it, right? But one call, okay? So if all that this did was to help you spot a bad deal before due diligence, could it be what, $26,500, right? But the good thing is you're not going to pay $26,500 for this, right? Let's also kind of just take a step back. We've shown you businesses that could possibly cash flow $600,000, right? So if all that this did was to show you how to buy a business that cash flowed $611,000, $594, type a 2 in the, oh no, let's get to 8. Type an 8 in the chat if it will be worth $26,500. If all that this thing did was to show you how to buy that business that generated $611,594. Type an 8 in the chat. Let me just know who thinks it'll be worth 26 to learn how to buy a business. Okay, just a few of you, just 3 of you. All right. We're getting there. Let's see. Maybe, okay. Okay. All right, good. All right, good. Now, how about if all this did was to show you how to find it, how to structure the deal, how to finance it, what to ensure the business has before you close, how to vet the seller's claims. The seller says, oh, I make 15,000 whatever a month. How do you vet it? How do you make sure that they're not just blowing smoke up your behind, right? How to get help. Who to help you, okay? So if all this did, will it be even worth $15,000 if that was all that it did? If it'll be worth 15, know that that's a drop now from 26, but if it'll be worth 15, type a 9 in the chat. Let me see those who think it'll at least be worth $15,000. Okay, good. At least one person thinks it'll be worth $15,000. All right. I see you. All right. So, but the good thing is you're not even going to pay 15 tonight, okay? Not at all. Not even close, all right? So, Catalyst, Millie, you can actually go ahead and put the link to Catalyst Enroll in the chat right now, okay? Because for only $5,000, you get to attend the live interactive training. You're going to get access to the deal document vault. You're going to get access to 6 months. You know, it's funny, as I was talking with Mike yesterday, he was like, yeah, they get access to 6 months of this, and they might as well just pay $200 and watch the speaker show them how to use it. I was like, actually, that's pretty true, because just the software alone is worth $4,800, right? But it gets even better, because it always gets better. If you and your partner, we're talking business partner, we're talking spouse, we're talking best friend that will buy a business with you. If you have a business partner that will be buying deals with you, in other words, both of you will be buying the same deal, you can both enroll for $7,500 and a kid can join you for free. So let's say you come on your own, but you want to come with your kid, your 14-year-old. As long as you have a young person that is 18 years or younger, that kid, I'm calling a kid, 18 or younger, can attend for free. Who are my generational wealth builders here? Okay. Type a, I don't even know what number we're on now. Type a 9 in the chat if you're a generational wealth builder. If you're trying to like raise kids that know how money moves. Okay, get them in the room. They're on summer vacation, right? Get them in the room. Show them how to underwrite these businesses. While we were on the group, Mike's group 2 years ago, I saw a 14-year-old that bought a med spa because she was in the room. Okay, so bring your teenagers, bring your kids. Okay, these kids, don't underestimate them. Don't underestimate them. But you can come with the kid for free if you attend if you have a paid adult ticket. All right. But wait, there's more. Now, a few of you may be asking, what if I have no business experience? You know, Mike already kind of said what that's going to look like, right? You hire a quarterback, okay? He doesn't fix toilets, but he owns a plumbing company. You don't have to know the industry directly, okay? You can hire people to make this work. Okay. I want to get to the actual thing here because we decided to do something that I don't think we've ever done in any of my things out loud publicly. We are actually running an early bird bonus on this, okay? And what this is that for early bird, you can get in for 20% off, okay? By using the code early bird. So I'm just going to type it on my screen directly because early bird, okay? Using the code early bird, you can take 20% off the checkout price. So Millie, post that link in the chat for those who want to enroll in Catalyst, okay? Because with early bird, you get 20% off. Use this code. It is for a limited time. If you want to do this, take the early bird, okay? Definitely take the early bird. Now, there's one more bonus for those of you who are on here live. That's going to be, this is an exclusive session, right? That's going to be on a Saturday in August. I believe the current date is mid-August, actually. That's going to be happening. So Millie, post that link again. Make sure that nobody leaves it out. Now, I'm sorry.